to Heart Rate Project by Christine Rowe,
Alecia Brower,
Gay Lux,
Emily Riolo.
Our first hypothesis stated that people who are older than 25 will have a slower heart rate while walking for 3 minutes than people who are younger than 25. The data was collected during our lab class where we walked up and down the hall following Mrs. Farnsworth, who set the pace. We did this as a group, so everyone was following the exact same pace. We then set up an Excel spreadsheet that contained the following criteria: age and change in heart rate. This data was taken from an overall spreadsheet with data from approximately 80 participants, ranging in age 17 to 55. We made a line graph based on the results, which supported our hypothesis. This red arrow indicates the average change in heart rate in people under 25 after walking at a fast pace for 3 minutes to be at 32 beats per minute.
This red arrow indicates the older group greater than age 25 had an average heart rate change of 29 beats per minute, which was less than the younger population, supporting our hypothesis. The idea is that younger people have greater cardiovascular health and have lower resting heart rates, making the change during exercise less for older people whose heart beats faster at resting. Our second hypothesis stated that people who exercise for 2 hours or less per week will have a greater change of heart rate while riding the stationary bike for 5 minutes than people who exercise for 3 or more hours per week. Basically, we're saying people who work out more often will have less heart rate change than those who do not. Our data was collected by each participant riding the stationary bike for 5 minutes, keeping the pace of pedaling at the same rate for each individual. We set up a spreadsheet that contains the following criteria: the times each participant exercised per week, ranging from 1 to 4 times, and change of heart rate. We then put our data into a bar graph. This arrow represents the change of heart rate for people who exercise less than 2 hours per week, which shows slightly greater than 42 beats per minute change.
This arrow is pointing to the group that exercises 3 or more hours per week, showing their average heart rate change to be approximately 38 beats, concluding that those who exercise more will have a lower change in heart rate while exercising than those who exercise less. This supported our hypothesis. The data did not include intensity of each individual's weekly exercise, nor did we test the overall health of the participants to determine if there were other factors that could have changed the results. However, it makes sense that those who exercise more will have a more efficient heart for pumping blood during physical activity. This concludes our presentation.